Hi, and welcome to Reasonable and Necessary, Australia's favorite podcast series on everything you ever wanted to know about the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Brought to you by the Summer Foundation. I'm your host, Dr. George Taleporos, and in this episode of our special COVID-19 series, we talk to anti-violence advocate Anj Barker about her experience of catching COVID and being forced into hospital. Check it out. Hi, Ange. Welcome to the show.
Hi, George. Pleasure to be speaking with you. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you on. And you and I met, about 15 years ago now. And I know that you've done a lot of work since then. You've done a lot of work in the anti-violence area. You've been the Victorian Australian of the Year. You've done talks at schools and educated thousands of people about violence. And I'm very privileged to have a chance to talk to you today. And on this occasion, it's about COVID. Hey.
Yes, unfortunately, it is because I got COVID. I was at home in my apartment, George, and I caught COVID off one of my nighttime staff who had contracted it from her sister's husband.
When you first contracted COVID, you were at home, right? And it was a Tuesday morning. Can you tell us what happened?
It was very shocking and upsetting, and I actually had a fill-in support worker who heard the news with me and just left me with before my other worker had arrived or anything. So I was just left all on my own, having just heard that I had contracted COVID. So I'm like freaking out and thinking, shit, I'm gonna die. That's sort of what the news I've heard on the TV had led me to believe. Cause like, I've got a weaker immune system.
Yeah, but luckily you didn't die. You actually recovered quite well, and that's thanks to the fact that you're double vaccinated, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry that you had that experience where your support worker basically left you in the lurch at
Yeah,
a time of need. That's not what we want, is it?
yeah, and my apartment management kicked me out to hospital because of the me needing my support workers like coming in and out. on my apartment. There's too high risk that they might pass it on to the other residents at my apartment building.
Oh, so you had to leave your apartment even though you felt okay. It sounds like you had to, you were told to leave by the Department of Health, is that right?
Yes,
In order to get support because your support workers were going to have to come in and out of your apartment and it was considered unsafe, is that right?
yes, absolutely correct, George.
Doesn't seem very fair, does it? Like other people get to stay home and recover in their own home, but you had to be shipped off to hospital.
Yeah, and it made me feel more at risk because, like, there were other people sick with COVID in the hospital. So my illogical brain was in a panic station thinking, shit, I'm gonna get it worse than I actually did.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't like being around people who sneeze and cough. I don't know how I would have coped being in a hospital with full of people who are very ill with COVID. But I'm really glad that you weren't very ill, and but I'm not happy that you were forced to go to hospital. That's not really fair.
Oh, thankfully, I was in my own private room with no one else. And would have, that's what saved my mental health anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine it, that your mental health would have been quite under a lot of stress, and also being alone, even though it's good that you didn't have to share a room, you had to be isolated and on your own, right?
In a white room for 2 weeks with no television or radio. Thankfully, my parents drove down and dropped off my iPad and a phone because actually what happened the day I got my test results back, it's like my phone got COVID and because it stopped working.
Wow, your phone got COVID and still worked. Wow, but you got an iPad dropped off and another a phone. Those were your only link to the outside world.
Yes, this is true.
Tell us a bit more about when you were in hospital and you had your iPad. Yeah, you were all alone with no one to talk to. What did you do to pass the time?
Oh, well, it was awesome. I took up doing sit-ups, so I built me some rock hard abs. And for my 2 weeks in hospital, all I did was sit up. I did 1,000 every day, at least.
Wow, well done on that. So, 14 days later, and you got to leave the hospital. How did that feel?
Like heaven. It was awesome. I was able to see people going about their lives, and I was able to see the news, what had been going on, and catch up on all the gods.
And how did you find the staff at the hospital? Did they look after you? I often worry about going into hospital and not being appropriately looked after.
It was like, cause they had all the people, all the other people with COVID who were actually physically ill. Like, they sort of just left me alone. All they did was lay in bed and then just come in and do the tests every day and give me the blood thinning injection.
And that's because some people with COVID can get blood clots, is that right?
This is correct, George.
Right. And you didn't get blood clots because you were doing sit-ups the whole time, and I think you're probably the least at risk of blood clots of all of them.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I didn't suffer any blood clots or um, precious sores or anything.
No, that's a relief. So, what advice do you have to other people that might be listening in terms of what you've learned from this experience?
You just gotta have faith in yourself, stay strong-minded, and just soldier on through it.
Absolutely. And
That's all we can do in this life. We just gotta cop any of the shit we get done.
and obviously get vaccinated because
Oh yeah, 100%. Everyone, everywhere needs to and should 100% get fully vaccinated. Please.
excellent advice. What stood out for me um, in researching your experience was that you got COVID, your support worker gave you COVID, and your support worker got very ill, and they weren't vaccinated. You did very well, apart from having a very boring time in hospital, and you were double vaccinated. So it shows us how important it is to get vaccinated. But it also tells us that even if we are vaccinated, we can catch COVID. It does happen.
I tested positive, sure, but I didn't really actually suffer from contracting COVID at all. Like, like I said, I got a bit of a sore throat for like a day, maybe two, and a bit of a sore belly. But that might have been from all my sit-ups.
Yes, who knows? It could have been your sit-ups. And thank you so much for chatting to me today. I'm excited that I got to see you after all this time, and your apartment looks really, really nice.
Thank you very much, George. It's been wonderful to see you too, 'cause it has been what feels like forever, especially after all this COVID BS.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see each other in person very soon.
And
Thanks, and have a great day.
you
Bye.
too. Bye.
That's all we have time for on today's episode of Reasonable and Necessary, brought to you by the Summer Foundation. To be notified of future episodes, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay well and reasonable.